and welcome to EDL 250, Health and Movement. I hope you all are doing good and everybody's excited to be back to school. I know we have some people that are online all the time, and so it's not like you're back on campus. I know some people are from different states, and so you're not even in Kansas. And if you're not in Manhattan enjoying this amazing weather, and then so a lot of you are just doing this because it works out with your schedule the best. So so glad to have you here. Hope you've had a good first day of classes if you've had classes already, and hope you have a good rest of your semester and week. But yeah, welcome back and welcome to this class. I think this class is and can be one of the most important classes you take here at K-State for your teacher prep program. And you may be like, really, it's a 2-hour, 8-week course about health and movement. What could possibly be that important? Well, I'm not sure what you know about the course or if you've talked to people who've taken it before, but we try to take a different approach to this course a little bit. This is not PE for elementary teachers. So if any of you are worried about that, I'm not going to try to teach you how to teach PE. I think the PE teacher should teach PE and the elementary teacher should teach the other stuff. But there's definitely things within teaching that PE teachers do that maybe, could help out a little bit or that, working together. So we'll get into all that. But what I think the most important thing this class teaches is everything that we don't talk about content. We're not going to spend time talking about math content and things like this. What I like to think about is we are going to talk about how do we put students into the best position to learn? How do we put them in position A to learn? And so what comes with that is, you know, what is going on in a kid's life and recognizing that. And so, for example, if a kid is hungry, if a student of yours is truly hungry, not eating, if they don't have, and then we're going to read about that next week and how that is more prevalent than you may think. And some of you may have dealt with that, or people who have. If you're not eating, how important is that math lesson? If you don't have hygiene where you don't have proper dental care and you have cavities in your teeth, how important is that? If you're dealing with mental health issues or you're dealing with abuse, all the things that go around in our kids' lives on a daily basis, if you are dealing with those things and we don't recognize that's going on in our students' lives, how can they possibly do well in school? Because I'm going to tell you, you all know this, and I'm sure you've all been in that situation before where you're so stressed out about something or you have some kind of, you're dealing with some anxiety. And often the last thing that you're worried about is that lesson in front of you or that homework or whatever it may be. So I think this class is going to talk a lot about that. How do we put kids in position A to learn? And one of those ways is by using physical activity, not in hey, get up and do jumping jacks or hey, get up and do a go noodle in the middle of class, but more of how do I add simple things to the day that gets kids out of their chairs, that allows them to have a little bit more freedom and allows them to be a little bit physically active. And we're going to spend a lot more time talking on that down the road. So that's kind of an introduction into the class. We're going to talk about a lot of topics and try to keep this as engaging as possible. I will tell you, this is a really good, I think, online course. It's an amazing face-to-face course, but we're going to make it really good. And I'm going to try everything I can to make it amazing online. In our face-to-face class, we actually do a lot of activities. We're actually physically active quite a bit during the class and not in a exhausting push-up, sit-up kind of way, but more in a fun and a way to engage our students. So, but that's the way it is, and we can only have, so the work, however, just like I was saying, I have to find a way to put my own students in position. I have to find a way to put you in position A to learn in this online course. So, first, I feel like relationships are about as big as it gets when it comes to education, really about anything in life. I don't feel like anything goes well without relationships. And so, I want you to know a little bit about me so you'll understand where I'm coming from on some of this stuff and, my life. And I will use, my life in some of the stuff that we do. One of the assignments this year has to do with my dissertation, which is about using physical activity in the classroom. But it comes from a little bit different perspective of maybe what you think. And actually very different than what I thought I was going to come up with. So some things, but so yeah, so Dr. Elner, Mark Elner, I am a professor here, teaching assistant professor here in the College of Ed. I've realized that this is like my 10th year teaching at K-State. I did a bunch of years as a GTA, then got my doctorate in 2019, and have been teaching since then. I run the PE and health program. I know there's a few people in here that are PE and health majors, and if I don't know you already, I will know you soon. But I run that program, and along with that program, I also teach educational technology, and I also teach all the not all, but a lot of the coaching courses. Let's just say, and so I teach quite a bit of different classes here. I love it. I get to do a lot with the distance supervision. I supervise and kind of the specialist with the our Go React platform, which we use for distance supervision, which you don't really need to know about right now. But it's another thing I do here in the college. Um, so yeah, so teach a lot of people, and I love this class. I love working with the elementary teachers. The PE teachers currently, a lot of PE teachers take this course as they have to take this course as well. So some people are kind of already hearing the, they've heard what I want to say. So, but they'll get a little bit of double dose of it. Um, so I was an elementary PE teacher for about 10 years. Taught up in Omaha, Nebraska for a while. My wife went to dental school up at Creighton. And when she finished dental school up at Creighton, we moved down here to Manhattan, which is where she's from, so she could go into practice with her dad. And so we've been here. I've been here since 2001, which is kind of crazy to think. Um, we have three kids, and our first two, Marcus and Macy. Marcus is 21, Macy's 19. We adopted them from Guatemala. They were born in Guatemala, and then our youngest son, Miles, is 16 and going to be 17 here next month in about a month. And he was born actually in Emporia. So not quite as exciting, but it was still a good thing. So when we were getting ready to adopt Miles, and we knew we were going to adopt our third child, we decided I would become a stay-at-home dad. So I was for about 6, 7 years. I was a stay-at-home dad, left teaching and still coached and stuff, coached my kids and everything, but did the stay-at-home dad thing. Loved it. Went back to college after my kids were all in school. Started my master's, and then um, just kind of really liked learning. I had a really good time with the master's program and got back and just kept going. I got my doctorate. And when I was getting my doctorate, they started the P program. And here I am all this time later. So it's crazy to think of all of that. So, but yeah, I taught out at Fort Riley when I was here. So if anybody's a Junction City kid or knows about out there, I taught at Geary County Schools, taught at Ware Elementary, which at the time was a huge school. When I first got there were about 850 students in the school. It's kind of shrunk a little bit since then. But I've worked in two huge schools that's up in Omaha. I taught in Omaha public schools. The school I taught in was 98% ESL. And so when I started there, none of the kindergartners spoke English, and a lot of the kids didn't speak great English, and English was their second language almost all the entire school. So really great experience. So I got to learn quite a bit, learned how to teach in Spanish and things like that. And so I've had quite a bit of experiences, and it all kind of came to this point. So, anyways, so glad to have you here. I said I'm big on individual learning, I'm big on relationships. So hopefully somehow through this with a big class, online class, we can still have some of that going on in here. And we do that by getting to know you through different things like the introduction. And so that's why I always want you to share your picture, because I'm not sure all of you have looked at your student ID pictures, but some of them don't look the best and don't really represent. I know mine doesn't. They don't represent us the best. So it's nice to see some pictures of you outside of that, um, you know, mugshot some of us have taken. So, anyways, so I said, I'm going to go through this class a little bit tonight. The idea is I'll just kind of go through, show you how it's going to work, talk a little bit about some things, and then get you out of here. Try not to keep you too long. All right. And again, I do have the chat open. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump on, throw something in the chat, or just unmute yourself and say, hey, I have a question. I'm good with that too. All right. Okay. So let me share my screen here in a second. Let me let me go back to Zoom. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And you should see the homepage. Can everybody see the homepage? Yes? Okay, good. Um, got a thing here. I'm going to move some things out of the way. Yeah, keep it right there. All right, so online, this will be your kind of first place you go at the beginning of each week. The idea is that I will have this page, your homepage, updated every Friday. So week 2 will be put on Friday. and I'll open up the module on Friday, the week before. Sometimes it may not happen. Maybe Friday became a crazy day. I didn't get a chance to do it, but most times I will do that. Um, this is an 8 week course. It's going to go fast. So it starts today and it runs through Friday, October 17th. It's again, it is a asynchronous class in the sense that we're not going to be in school in class together, but you will have deadlines you have to meet, usually 1 to 2 assignments. Just make sure this kind of telling you go through everything. Our assignments are typically due on Thursday and Sundays. If we do have 2 assignments, we have our orientation. So, first thing you do, kind of look at this homepage. I'll kind of have I might have an announcement in there, kind of about what's going on. Maybe throw a thought or two in, but the main part of the class is going to be in our modules. So right here, we have a bunch of stuff in our course information, which I'll get to in a second. And then as you can see down here, we have our week 1 module. Now, these are not published, but we have week 2, week 3. And if you look, each starts with a start here page. And we'll go through that here in a second. But first, let's take a look at the syllabus. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because it's a lot of just stuff. But I'm in office 402 Bluemont Hall on the 4th floor. If you ever need anything and you're on campus, you can stop there or email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me is to email me. Just make sure you tell me who you are and what class you are in. We have a bunch of classes we teach, so not going to spend too much time on that. You can read through that. This is if you're in face-to-face class, you'd want to be wearing clothing that makes you let you run around. I want to spend a few minutes on our late work policy. To be honest, this is like the reason, if anybody ever fails this class, this is the reason. It doesn't make any sense to me how you could do that, how you fail this class, because it's not that hard. I want it to be more of a fun class so you get something out of it and learn. I'm not really looking to make this the hardest class you've ever taken. But if people don't turn stuff in on time, and a lot of time it's like, well, I don't do well in online courses. Okay, but you chose to take an online course, so you have to be responsible for that, if that makes sense. I can't. We're in an online course. Yes, I know it's tougher than sometimes being in a face-to-face course, but it is what it is. So we just kind of do it this way. If you are late, you lose 10% per day. And so most assignments are about 20 points. So every day will be 2 points until you get up to a max of 40% deduction. So that would mean let's say you turned it in 5 days late. That would the max would be, we'd only take 40 off. You would get a 60%. So it'd still be passing. But in most classes in the College of Ed, you need to have a C for it to count. So let's not think like a D would be a great thing. Now, if it's more than a week late, so let's say this thing's due on Tuesday, it's next Tuesday or sorry, Wednesday or whatever, or Thursday, whenever it might be, and it's the next week and you have not submitted it, then before I grade it, you need to email me. You're like, hi, this is what happened. I'm sorry. Or I don't care if you apologize, but just saying, like explaining what's going on. You might just say, I forgot about it. If it is 2 weeks late, we will have to have a meeting before I grade it. So let's say you turn it in 2 weeks late and you just turn it in and leave it there. I'm not grading it until you have reached out to me and we've had a meeting on Zoom, face to face, on a phone call, however you may think what's best for you. Obviously, if it's consistently late, we're going to have a meeting. I'm going to reach out to you and we're going to talk. Um, you are welcome to resubmit work. Just make sure you do it within 1 week. You will not lose points. So let's say you turn something in on time. It just didn't quite live up to what you need for full points. We will respond to you and tell you exactly what you need doing, what's wrong, what needs to be fixed. And then if you do that within a week, you will get full points. You won't lose any points, if that makes sense. So there's no reason for you not to get 100% on this, on every assignment. We're giving you that opportunity. So if you don't get 100% on that, it's all on you, not on us. We're trying here. We're going to give you every opportunity to do that. Now, you may think this like meeting or these late points are for punishment that I'm going to have you meet with me. The real reason is I want to find out what's going on. Because typically somebody's turning stuff in very consistently turning in late work. There's something going on, and I want to know what's going on. And I want to be able to see if I can help you. Okay. I want to work with you. I want to make sure that we get you whatever support you need. If there's something I can do to help you, then we'll do that. Right. The rest of that's just standard stuff. Um, just real quick here, your contact information and stuff. Again, that's right here. I do have my cell number in here. I mean, let's use that pretty conservatively. That would be if there's an emergency. Um, but if you do email me, this is an example, give me your name. You would say, instead of ed tech, I just kind of do this for everything. You would say Health and Movement Online Fall 2025. I check my messages a lot, so if you have any questions, let me know. Um, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If for some reason it's been like a day and I haven't got back to you, shoot me another email. Say, hey, I'm just checking on you. Sometimes things get lost. I try not to make that happen, but um, thoughts on how I grade, you can kind of listen to that. We'll provide feedback as much as possible and when appropriate. We're not going to just so there's a rubric for every assignment. So we'll fill out that rubric and we'll give you grace. So if you get full points, you can look at that rubric and go, oh, that's what they thought of my assignment. Um, if we ever take points off, except for being late, if we ever take points off, we'll always tell you why. Sometimes we'll give you some feedback. Sometimes we'll just give you the points, depending on, if this needs to be. So just kind of take a look at that. If we do make comments, read them. Sometimes those comments will be like, hey, this is what you need to do to fix it, stuff like that. Okay. Each week. So now we're into that. Each week, you'll go to the Start Here page to start. It'll have a great little detailed thing about what's going on. This week is way more detailed than most weeks just because it's our first one. Okay. Um, and so you can see you have an introductory message on Wednesday and Friday. This first week's a little different because we're trying to get everything into having two assignments for the first time. So you have it on Wednesday, Friday, and then you have replies due by Sunday. And the reason we do that is like in this class, we do tons of discussion. And since we don't have that opportunity, we're not going to meet regularly, then this is a way we kind of get a little bit of connection with other people. Big on connection. Okay. Um, we'll kind of go over that. So before I go into that, I want to show you the schedule so you can kind of get an idea of these are going to be the topics we talk about. So kind of this first week's just an introduction. Everybody get to know each other. Next week, we'll be talking about healthy schools and nutrition. We'll be talking about hungry kids. Then we'll get into this week will be mostly P. I don't know why that's still in there. That should be gone. This will be about P standards, but also be using physical activity to, in fact, I got to fix that. There's a few things that are wrong here because I've adjusted some of these things not to be in there. But we'll be, I'm not sure how that got through, but we will be talking about start off with nutrition. We'll get in talking about health and PE standards, talking about like the relationship between PE teacher and classroom teacher. We'll also be reading. This is an article. We're going to be reading an article I want about that I did. This is actually called. It'll be called "Constant Natural Freedom of Movement," and then here we'll be doing a kinesthetic learning activity. Kind of get into some food label stuff. We will be talking about child abuse and neglect, and we'll be talking about mental health and emotional health. So look how quick that goes, October 19th, and it's going to be over. We'll spend more time talking about some of that stuff as we go forward, but just kind of so you can kind of see some of the ideas that we're going to be talking about here. This week's easy as pie. We're just trying to get to know you. So the first thing, all you got to do is introduce yourself. Who are you? Any kind of campus activities, any kind of goals you have as a teacher? What do you do? Anything else you'd like us to know? And please put a picture in. Some people have already done it. You look great in the pictures. I kind of said this is due Thursday. I don't know if I have that right on the thing, so I'm not going to worry about it. It says Thursday, so get it done as soon as you can. And then when you're done, what I'd like you to do is go in and just respond to two people, just two random people. Look at what they say and hey, how's it going? Oh, I see, kind of make some real comments. Not like, hi, it's nice to meet you. You can say it's nice to meet you, but then add a little bit of stuff to it. Maybe read through their thing. Maybe see some commonalities. Maybe somebody traveled somewhere you want to travel. Maybe you find out you went to a high school next, close to them, whatever it may be. But just do two. Then this right here is I think kind of a cool thing. I'm a big podcast guy. I'm not sure if any of you are podcast people, but there's so much stuff to learn out there with podcasting, I think, in a fun, usually kind of engaging way. So what you're going to do is you're going to just kind of explore podcasts. Go out there and I have some suggested, but you can find any podcast that has to do with health, movement, education in that, in that way. And kind of this like what we've talked about so far. I mean, it could have something to do with, mental health. It could have something to do with trauma. It could have something to do with physical activity or foods or whatever. I've given you a few examples here to look up, and I don't have the links here, but all you have to do is go, copy paste it into a search thing, and you would get it. So I want you to select two different podcasts, and listen to them. So just like one episode, not the whole, all their episodes. One episode of two podcasts, and it doesn't have to be from the same one. You could do like, yeah, two different podcasts. It says it. Um, and then listen carefully, take some notes if you want. You don't have to get too detailed with it, kind of enjoy it, and then create a reflection. And what you're going to have in the reflection, I want you to have the name of the podcast, what you learned from it, what you liked or any new information, things you found useful, how you would relate this to your own teaching, and whether you'd recommend it to other people and why. Now, you can add more stuff too. You don't have to just do that one. You can do more if you want. And if you have a link, like you're like, oh, here's a real easy link to use, you can put the link in there also. You are actually in groups for this. You are in discussion groups. So you will respond to two people. Your discussion groups are only three people big. So you'll just respond to two people, if that makes sense. So that's not due till Friday. So if you go in, let's say you were to do yours tonight, and you go in and say, well, I can't do any replies because there's nobody else in there. Well, they're not due till Friday at 11:59. So your replies would be, due Sunday at 11:59. If for some reason this would be like a thing, like if somebody turns their assignment in late, you're really putting everybody else in kind of a bind. But if somebody turns their stuff late in your group and you go in, let's say you went in Saturday, or what a terrible day to do that. Let's say you went in Sunday night to do it and somebody in your group hasn't turned it in, nothing you can do about it. You only reply to the people that are there. You will not lose points for that. All right. That's a lot. So let me stop my share. Any questions so far over assignments, how the course is laid out, what the expectations, anything like that? No? Okay, well, either I'm going really well, you're like, it's first day, but I have a whole nother class after this. Some of you may be in that class after. So hopefully it's going okay here. But if you have anything that you think of, and even if you think of something later, just go ahead and email me. Um, But all right, so that's kind of how the class is going to work. Each week will just kind of be a repeat. Most weeks, not most, I shouldn't say most weeks. Some weeks I will put out a video. Some weeks I won't. Next week I probably won't put out a video. When we talk about standards and all that kind of stuff, health and stuff, I will talk about that. When we talk about mental illness, I'll talk about that. So, um, you know, things like that. So one thing I was telling the class earlier today, the face-to-face class, which I think is it still works in this class, is I want this class to be, think of like the textbook you read for school. Like, so you're reading a textbook for school, like let's say even it's even a novel. Like, you go back to the day where you're reading like Romeo and Juliet, or you're reading Macbeth or something. And you're not really just getting to enjoy the book. You're trying to remember, right? Like, what am I going to be asked about on a test? Like, I'm trying to memorize every little thing of the book. I'm highlighting every line. So you don't really get to enjoy it. But I think now, then you have a book that you read in the summer, or now that I can read when, just my fun book. And I don't worry about taking notes. I don't worry if I remembered everything. I just enjoy the book. And at the end, I'm like, wow, I got something out of that book. Maybe it inspired me. Maybe I learned something because it's like a historical fiction, something like that. That's what I want this class to be. I want this to be the novel that you're reading for fun. And don't stress about your grade. Turn your stuff in, reflect honestly, think about it. You're going to do just fine in this class. Okay. I'm going to give you every opportunity. I want you to succeed. If you are late, so let's say there's an assignment due Wednesday. I don't even know what day the assignments are, to be honest. I'm getting my classes mixed up here. But let's say there's an assignment due Wednesday. At Thursday morning, I will send an email Well, you'll get an automatic kind of an email. I just go in there and sometime when I wake up and I look at my stuff, it'll say message who. And basically on my I can do it through the grades and I'll message anybody who has not submitted their work. So you'll get a reminder like that morning. So let's say Wednesday, this assignment due. Thursday morning, you'll get a reminder. Hey, just a reminder that it was due last night. Please get it in as soon as possible. So, just make sure you do. Now, sometimes things happen in life and we just can't get stuff done. For whatever reason, we have a tough life. Like, we all have tough stuff going on. I'm going to be honest, like, there's always something going on in my life. I have three kids that are 20, basically 22 to 16 years old. It's craziness in my house at all points, right? So, like, I get it. I deal with all the same stuff you deal with, I promise. Do not be afraid. Do not be hesitant to reach out. If there's something going on, please reach out to me. If you're getting behind 8 weeks, it is very easy to get behind. And if you get behind, the end of class is coming quickly. You know, um, you get a couple of weeks behind, you're going to be in a world of hurt, especially if you don't talk to me. So make sure you're coming to talk to me. I've never had anybody leave a meeting with me about dealing with an issue that they haven't felt better about, I promise. Like, I'm not having these meetings to yell at you. I'm not having these meetings to judge you. All any of that stuff. Because I'm telling you, I've been in the same situation you've been in. My kids have been in the same situation you've been, and I've been doing this now for about 10 years, and I understand all the different things that can come up. So maybe you just had a hard day. Maybe just life is just too much right now. It's okay to let me know that, right? Even if you say, look, I don't want to tell you what's going on, but there's some stuff going on. I would get that. But the key is you have to reach out to me. If you don't reach out to me and you don't respond to me, and I'm chasing you down, asking, 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 then that's where the problem becomes. And so I'm going to let you like tell me if you need some help. So like those late points, that's not absolute, right? If something's going on and you're going to miss an assignment by a couple of days and you reach out to me ahead of time, but if you're always reaching out to me like 2 days afterwards and going, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't get that done, whatever, I was sick. So let's just say it might be something like, I have a big test coming up on Thursday. You have an assignment due Wednesday night. Is it okay if I turn it in Thursday night or Friday morning? Sure. Like, right, why not? As long as you don't take advantage of it. So just remember that. Don't wait. Don't sit there and stew over it. Because I know me, I'd stress out about it. If I'm missing assignments, I still have nightmares about me missing class. I just had one 2 nights ago about me not knowing where my class is, not making it to class. So I know how stressful that can be. So I promise you, I will help you get that stress away. I promise you, I will help you make that yourself feel better about this situation. So make sure you reach out to me. Okay. Now, last kind of comment before we get out here, just kind of in general with the class, like my thought on this is one of my favorite new songs. Last semester, I started in the spring. We kind of use this as my theme. But I don't know if any of you listen to know this song, but I'm sure most of you do. But Jelly Roll's "I Am Not Okay." Anybody know that song? Okay. The first time I heard of the song, I was like, "What is that?" Then I listened to it again, and like I'm blown away by that song because it's so stinking true. Like, I am not okay. I deal with all the issues that you deal with. I deal with anxiety. I deal with depression myself. I deal with these things. We all have issues. We are not okay. Our kids are struggling. Now, that doesn't mean they're all like, are not going to be all right and that they can't do stuff during the day. But the reality is there's a lot of issues all of us have, and they've always been going on out there. I guarantee you, when I was a little kid, I had anxiety. I know I had anxiety, but nobody ever talked about anxiety. We just said, oh, just suck it up. And I walked around with a stomach ache for the first probably 15, 20 years of my life. Well, now we know that it's out there. We know more. You guys are going to be dealing with mental health issues. It's going to be the number one thing. I'm going to tell you right now, it's the number one thing I deal with in college. It's the number one thing I deal with in my household, and so we are dealing with a group of students that need us. And to be a teacher, you have to have a lot of passion. You can't just do this job to do as a job. It's not just a job, right? Like, you can't just show up, put your clock, punch the clock and walk out. You have to want it. And this is one of the first classes you'll be taking, within this college and in the education world. And so I want you to understand like this job, you have to want it. You have to have passion, and the kids need you. We need really, really good teachers. We need to have young teachers who are vibrant, who are trying different things, not just doing the same old, same old, same old. Teaching hasn't changed for a long time. We're doing little things, but somebody that's really dedicated themselves to teaching the whole child and teaching all their problems and accepting those problems, not just going bad kid. If a kid's falling in your sleep during class, okay, so if a kid's you're in class, you have a kid constantly falling asleep, and you just say this kid will never stay awake, and you just get mad at him. Don't you think you should go a little deeper and find out why is this kid? Why would a kid be sleeping in my class? Why is the kid sleeping at 11 o'clock? The kid steals some food from somebody else, rather than just saying this kid's a thief, he's a terrible kid. Well, maybe there's a reason that kid is stealing food from somebody. Maybe they are hungry. Maybe there's something you can do about it. Not saying that you have to feed kids all the time, but maybe there's something that you could help them get some resources. Kids dealing with mental health issues that maybe are not being addressed. So when you look at a kid, being inquisitive, not just assuming something, asking, finding out, and how do I take that kid, each individual? So let's like this class right here. We have 44 people on this thing, and 44 different issues have come here to this class. 44 completely different lives. Some of you are married, some of you have kids, some of you are young, some of you are just out of high school, some of you are living in a dorm where you're getting 3 meals a day, some of you are sitting in an apartment that you have no idea how you're going to pay the next rent or how you forget about how you're going to get your food. It could be all over the place. Some are you dealing with, maybe you're in an argument with your significant other. Maybe you're in an argument with your parents. Maybe you're having an issue with a pet that you have. Maybe you're missing that pet. All these different things that could possibly be going on there that will impact your learning. And as a teacher, I have to understand like, okay, if somebody is not showing up or somebody's not submitting assignments, it's typically not because they just don't want to and they don't care. It's because something is going on. And I think that's how we have to be as teachers. We have to look a little bit deeper, not assume. It's really easy to look at kids and go, that's a bad kid. I'm not dealing with them. Kids are not naturally bad. There's some reason that that's happening, right? Kid misbehaving, a kid sleeping in your class, a kid having outbursts, all those things. There's something going on. And as our job as teachers to really want to do it. And if you don't, that's fine. If you don't want to have that, if you don't have that passion, like, but you just have to do something else. You can't do this, right? This is not the job for you. So when I have teachers in classes and when I teach this program, I hold my students to like a really high standard because I think what we do is one of those jobs like you wouldn't want your cardiologist just to show up and do a job, right? Like you just want them, whatever, I do an okay job, I move on. Like it's really easy to be an okay. I say this about PE teachers all the time. It's really easy to be an okay or a bad PE teacher. Okay, it's easy to be a bad PE teacher. You just show up, you roll the ball out, you probably don't get fired. But it's really hard to be great. And same thing here. It's really easy to be an okay, be a bad teacher. If that's what you want to be, like if you're okay just turning in okay assignments, you know, then what's that say about you as a teacher? You're spending way too much money to be okay. We need to be great, and we should be great because the kids that we're going to teach deserve it. I'm going to try to be great. And I'm not saying I'm going to be great all the time, but I'm certainly going to try to be, and I'll make my mistakes and all that. But try to do that. Think about like if you're a teacher and you're in the, let's say you're a pre-service teacher like all of you, and you're constantly turning your work in late. And you're like, it's not a big deal. I only lose 20 points, or I lose, like 10 points, or maybe I lose 8 points or five, whatever the points I lose. I lose 10%. Are you okay with that when you're going to be a teacher? Like, are you cool if your students don't turn your stuff in? Are you cool if your students don't listen or don't pay attention to what you assignments you have? You're probably not, right? You're probably not. So you should want to hold yourself to that same standard that you think you're going to hold your students to. So we're going to be in this together. I'm going to do everything I can to make this class successful for you, to make it fun, to make it exciting. I know it's only 3 weeks or 8 weeks. I know it's an online class and a 2 credit online class, and some of those can get pushed aside. This is an education course. These are your priority. This is what you are going to do. You should be soaking up every little thing. Articles that I have, presentations that I have, keep them. Find something interesting, write it down, save it into a file. But you should start taking this stuff very seriously now because to be good, you have to do that. You have to want it. And it all starts now, right? You can't just say, hey, when I get out to be a teacher, that's when I'll start acting like I want it. That point is too late. You've already set the standard. So set your standard of being great. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Just
None.
what the word is.
Say that. Yes, thank you. See, that's a test. Okay, so the password is, and you have to type this in right. It is position A. So it's capital P, position, space, capital A. So position A. I'm going to put it in the chat. And that's it in the chat. You can even copy and paste it. And for some reason, I'll look in there. So, like, let's say you were to get it wrong because you did something. I'll go in there and look, and if you have it somewhat right, we'll give you points. No, 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 no. Don't do it here. Sorry, don't do it here. You do it in the. I'm bad. Sorry. You do. There's a quiz in the first week module. There's a quiz called Zoom attendance quiz. Zoom attendance quiz. If that makes sense. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. But do that as soon as possible. Please don't tell your buddies if they haven't done it, because I'll send out this recording and they'll have to watch it. Um, don't tell anybody the answer. All right. Okay. So week one, we're going to get the introductions done as soon as possible. Then you're going to do the podcast review. By Sunday, you'll have responded to two random people on the introductions, and you'll have responded to your two group members on the podcast review. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on here. It's always so much better not to just be sitting on here by myself. And I appreciate everything you guys are going to be and going to do. Please reach out early if you're having troubles. Stay in contact with me. If you need to talk, if you just need to meet like Zoom, you need to go on a Zoom with me, or you want to meet in our office, or you want to do whatever, we will 100% be there for you. Okay. So let's have a great semester. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's have some fun with this. And if you need anything, let me know. I am going to